Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, June 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather-related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the United States Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazard Outlook for the next 3 weeks. And we can see that by week 2, which is the period from June the 28th to July 4, we can see some reds right there across portion of the main development region, red shades. And we know that on the key that represents some amount of tropical cyclone formation probability, whether it's 20% or more. So maybe after we have tropical storm Bret and this Invest 93L has passed, might be looking forward to something else to wrap up the month of June into early July as well. And we can also see some above normal rainfall as indicated by those light green shades across sections of Puerto Rico and sections of the Leeward Islands as well. And even the week after that, we see some grains that represent some more above normal rainfall across sections of the Windward Islands right there. So maybe Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Lucia, Martinique might get in on some more rainfall after all of that. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that we have that ridge of high pressure dominating the entire Atlantic basin, still sending a lot of easterly trade winds and that easterly flow across the main development region into the Caribbean. So everything that comes off of Africa is going to be moving along in that easterly flow from east to west. And we can see that we have a tropical wave right there to the east of the Caribbean right now. So it's going to be bringing more rainfall, if it hasn't already started, across sections of the Leeward and Windward Islands at this point into tomorrow as well. To the east of that tropical wave, we can see tropical storm Bret, and to the east of Bret, we can still see that area of low pressure that's designated Invest 93L. Taking a look at the infrared satellite images right now, let's see if we can reload those images to get the latest, if there is a latest image to see. So we can still see that we have, if this image will load. Alright, so yes, it's updated. So we can see tropical storm Bret right there. It was looking a bit trashy or raggedy earlier today, but we can see that some amount of strengthening has taken place with more of a central dense overcast kind of look, with all of that deep convection as indicated by those blacks and the whites and the purples within those blocks that represent some high cold cloud tops. So it's definitely trying to get its act together. I wouldn't be surprised if it does some kind of intensification that might cause the US National Hurricane Center to put an H back on their forecast that represents hurricane development. Who knows? We shall see exactly what unfolds with that. We can see the clouds associated with that tropical wave right there across sections of the Eastern Caribbean, so sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, portions of St. Lucia, Martinique, portions of Dominica, getting in on some of that Guadeloupe, not to mention sections of Barbados as well. And this should continue tonight into tomorrow. We can also see the clouds associated with Invest 93L right there to the east of tropical storm Bret. These clouds were looking a bit more impressive yesterday and the day before, but we know these things go. We usually have a period where these systems, have some rapid strengthening and then they go downhill and then they re-strengthen. That's just the cycle as usual, especially considering that we have a lot of dry air from the Sahara Desert across that spot. So it makes sense that we're going to be having these strengthening and then weakening kind of cycles. Taking a look at the US National Hurricane Center's page, we still have Bret right there, and as of 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. Jamaica time, it is still moving west at 16 knots, which is 18 miles per hour. And the area to the east of Bret has a 70% of tropical cyclone formation within the next 48 hours. And it has an 80% of tropical cyclone formation within the next 7 days as it continues to move towards the west-northwest. Let us take a look at the projected path of Tropical Storm Bret. We can still see that Bret is forecasted to make its way into the Caribbean. Yesterday we had the system moving more towards the west-northwest, maybe affecting portions of the Greater Antilles. Now it's forecast to move towards the west, maybe passing south of Hispaniola and Jamaica. But we know these things go, especially where we have those white dots right there. The farther out, the less certain or more uncertain the National Hurricane or the U.S. National Hurricane Center is about where it's actually going to go. So who knows, we might still see take the northern track right there and bring it closer to Jamaica. Either way, we know that when these things, even when they're passing to the far south of Jamaica, we're still going to be impacted by some amount of rainfall. So we're indeed grateful for the rainfall that we're going to be receiving, especially considering that we have a lot of hot temperatures taking place these days. And we can see that Invest 93L is still forecast to move towards the west-northwest. As it relates to all of the spaghetti model plots, we can see that yes, most of them from the EPS, which is the euro, are in consensus with what the GFS is showing. So it's taking more of a westerly track across the Caribbean, from the eastern to the central Caribbean, maybe passing south of Jamaica. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with time. Either way, the intensity still maintains it at tropical storm strength as indicated by the greens. We had some more of these models entering the yellows that represent hurricane status, but that has gone down at this time. Only one model we see actually taking it up to the category 3 status. That's just the H-Wharf model, and this model usually overdoes these kind of things. Taking a look at Invest 93L's forecast, we see that it continues to take it towards the west, then turning towards the northwest or the west-northwest. And if we actually remember, that's the same projected path that Bret had. So it's best to just keep our eye on this thing just in case it makes more of a westward track later on down the road. Hopefully it doesn't. And we can see that this system is also forecasted to become a tropical storm as indicated by the greens, with majority of these models predicting that intensity. I know that when majority of these models are forecasting much of the same thing, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. If you actually take a look at the projected path with all of the moisture from tropicaltidbits.com, we can see that on the Euro and the GFS model. Let's look at the Euro model first. So we can see Tropical Storm Bret right there at the right hand side of the image, to the east of the Caribbean, making its way. So we're seeing that it's making landfall across portion of the island maybe around Thursday night into Friday morning. That's on the Euro, then making its way westward, and we can see that by the time it gets to the south of Jamaica, it fizzled out. There's no more L that represents the area of low pressure, but we do see some greens that represent some amount of moisture. So whatever is left back from Bret might bring us some amount of rain across the island, and we can see the timestamp. This is about 1 p.m. on Sunday. What about what the GFS, the Global Forecast System, is showing? Let us see. So it also takes it into the Caribbean, and then around that's 7 a.m. on Sunday, we can see it fizzle out into 1 p.m. on Sunday, right there to the southwest of Jamaica. Then we still have the greens that represent the rainfall right there. So we do see some amount of agreement with the time stamps. So that's 1 p.m. on Sunday on both the Euro and the GFS malls. That's where the rainfall is going to be. To the south of Jamaica, even sections of Jamaica, especially eastern Jamaica, we see more of the darker shades of greens. And if we actually take a closer look at the accumulated precipitation forecast from now up until the end of the week, we can see that yes, we do indeed have some amount of, not the end of the week, from now up until Friday of next week. So this is the next 10 days actually. So this is from June 20th to the 20th to the 30th of June. So we do indeed see that yes, we have some rainfall to receive, and if we can go out to at least Monday morning. Alright, so that's 144 hours out. So this is Monday morning, and we do indeed see that rainfall right there, especially across sections of eastern Jamaica. So whatever Bret is going to be coming with is going to be especially across maybe St. Thomas and Portland. Let's see the next one, John, 44 hours on the GFS to see if we have something similar. Alright, so this is about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, and this is all the rainfall that we're expecting across the island. So we do see some amount of consensus with the total accumulated rainfall across Jamaica, especially across eastern Jamaica. We know the parishes that are located on the eastern side, so we know Kingston and St. Andrew, Portland and St. Thomas. So we definitely have some amount of rainfall to receive across those spots, as indicated by those orange shadings that represent to even up to 50 millimeters of rainfall. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. Who knows, maybe Bret comes closer to Jamaica and brings even more rainfall, especially considering that we have the uncertainty on the U.S. National Hurricane Center's map. We know that when we see this right there below Hispaniola, they're uncertain about where exactly it's going to be going after it passes the island. So they're certain up until Friday afternoon, but they're not so certain afterwards. So we're going to have to stay updated, stay alert, so that we never miss out on the actual updates on what's going to be going down with Tropical Storm Bret. Alright, so let us take a look at what was predicted in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for Tuesday. It was stated that we would ever see some amount of rainfall across sections of western Jamaica in the afternoon. And we know western Jamaica encompasses the parishes that are located in the county of Cornwall, so maybe St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. And what ended up happening? A post was made at 4:31 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon, highlighting the visible close-up satellite image of Jamaica, showing some amount of clouds bringing some isolated showers to section of eastern, northern and western Jamaica. So we did see the consensus in the fact that yes, western Jamaica is going to be getting in on some amount of afternoon rainfall on both the Euro and the GFS models, if you remember yesterday's video. But it was actually the Euro that was predicting rainfall for section of eastern, central and western Jamaica. So the Euro beat out the GFS. We know that the Euro is a bit more stronger when it comes to the projected path of storms, while the GFS is a bit more stronger when it comes to the rainfall. Usually these models, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Either way, we see the rainfall, we see the consensus, and we did indeed have rainfall across sections of western Jamaica today, and it was actually some amount of thunderstorms. That these sparkling white dots represent some lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes, and we indeed had some amount of thunderstorms across sections of St. James, Hanover, and we see those high cold cloud tops as well, as indicated by those blues, greens and yellows and reds right there. So they indeed got in on some amount of afternoon thunderstorms across sections of some northern parishes, so maybe sections of Trelawney, if not overcast skies. St. James, Hanover got in on some of that, and we had confirmation from one of our commenters on our Facebook page, Chrissy Anglin, stating it's raining in Hanover, to confirm that rainfall. Let us take a look at the temperatures for tonight. We can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as usual, as the night progresses, these temperatures should be getting lower. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS for 18D on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday, we see Jamaica embedded in some amount of yellows, if not orange shades. They represent up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. I know that the average temperatures for the month of June are about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the equivalent of 32.2 degrees Celsius. When we actually take a look at the thermometer. So if we're going to be receiving up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for tomorrow, we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that yes, we indeed still have some amount of dry air, not so much across portions of Jamaica. We have a lot of moisture as indicated by the blues across sections of Jamaica. We see the driest air right there across sections of the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, the eastern and central Caribbean, not to mention the northern main development region. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, we can see that we do indeed have a lot of hazy weather across majority of the main development region, especially to the north of Tropical Storm Bret, not to mention encompassing sections of Invest 93L. Maybe that's why it's struggling with the convection at this time. Not to mention Bret's struggling with the convection. There's a lot of Saharan dust as indicated by these brown shadings. And the darker brown it gets, the more haze and dry conditions that are out there. Jamaica has some amount of slight haze, but it's not that robust. We can't even see it in the sky. We usually can see the hazy weather in the sky when we don't see the natural blue of the sky because it's hazy, but we actually see the blue in the sky these days, so the haze is not that strong at all. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS has some amount of purple shades to the south and east of Jamaica for 12 p.m. on Wednesday. The purple shades represent up to 2 meter wave heights, while less than 2 meter wave heights are indicated by those blue shades that are right there across sections of western and northern Jamaica's waters. And that's due to the fact that we're going to be receiving an easterly flow across the island tomorrow with the strongest winds across those areas where we have the highest waves. So southern and eastern Jamaica as indicated by those yellow shades that represent up to 25 knot wind, especially southern parishes in Jamaica, while the north coast should be receiving up to 20 knot winds as indicated by the green shade. While we can see that we are going to be having the least amount of winds across sections of some inland areas of some central and western parishes. And we know what usually happens in the afternoon hours when we see all of that least amount of winds across especially western Jamaica. We have those cumulus clouds formulating themselves into cumulonimbus clouds that in turn become some amount of thunderstorms. So just like what we saw across Jamaica for today when we saw that afternoon thunderstorm taking shape, and then we had that wind shear pushing it all off towards the east. So what's going to be happening again for tomorrow? We're going to be having more of a west southwesterly kind of wind shear flow across the island for tomorrow, and that might just favor more of the rainfall across sections of some northern parishes as well. So if we're going to be having all of that air pile up across sections of western Jamaica, and then that wind shear coming in from the west southwest, then definitely it's going to be favoring more of those northwestern parishes that got in on that rainfall for today. So sections of Hanover, St. James might get in on some of that, especially considering that they're in the west as well as on the north coast. So much of the same thing like what happened today, that's exactly what's going to be happening for tomorrow. Let us take a look at the precipitation forecast for Wednesday. We can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are showing some amount of blues that represent rainfall across sections of eastern Jamaica, and that's around portions of St. Thomas and Portland right there. That's 7 a.m. Jamaica time, which is actually 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, like what we see right here. And we know that when both models are showing the same thing, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. And then skipping ahead to about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, we see the blues that represent rainfall across sections of western Jamaica, which confirms what we just saw on the wind forecast, not to mention the shear map. So we're definitely going to be seeing more of what happened today across sections of western Jamaica, if not Westmoreland, Hanover and St. James for sure. And we see the consensus on the accumulated precipitation forecast, especially across western Jamaica for the afternoon. And we're seeing the rainfall totals up to at least 0.29 of an inch of rainfall, and GFS showing more rainfall than the Euro, but we do see the consensus across western Jamaica. However, we see that morning rainfall right there across eastern Jamaica. It's a bit more robust on the Euro model. Either way, we're definitely going to be receiving some rainfall tomorrow across Jamaica. So look out for that morning rainfall in the east, St. Thomas and Portland, and that afternoon rainfall in the west across sections of Westmoreland, maybe Hanover, St. James as well. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting some more rainfall to wrap up the month of June, considering that we usually see up to 133 millimeters of rainfall during this month, considering that we're also in our secondary rainy season. So we know that we're going to be entering one of the dry seasons, the month of July. Hopefully it's not that dry. Hopefully we get some more rainfall with all of these tropical waves rolling off of Africa. Hopefully nothing drastic like any significant storms or hurricane, just the rainfall, to put a dent in the hydrological drought and to cool down the temperatures. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. Alright, so just like what we stated earlier, we're seeing a tropical wave to the east of the Caribbean right now. Then we have to the east of the tropical wave, tropical storm Bret, and to the east of Bret we have Invest 93L. And we do indeed see the clouds associated with the tropical wave right now, affecting portions of the leeward and windward islands with some amount of showers and thunderstorms. Then they're going to be having to deal with Bret immediately after that. And if we actually take a look at the Doppler radar images, we know Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall over an area as opposed to satellite images that show cloud cover. And we can have cloud cover over an area and not necessarily rainfall. So we do indeed see that rainfall that has been affecting portions of the eastern Caribbean associated with that tropical wave today. Sections of western Puerto Rico got in on some amount of afternoon convection. Sections of the British Virgin Islands, sections of St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica got in on some amount of rainfall, Martinique. And if we actually take a look at the Barbados radar, we see a lot of rainfall coming into Barbados even at this time, coming in from the east. Lots of rainfall to the north of Barbados, to the south and west of Barbados, not to mention to the east of Barbados. So they're going to be getting in on some more rainfall this evening into tonight as well. We can see that rainfall across sections of Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we're pretty sure that they're going to be receiving rainfall across sections of Grenada as well. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we see some amount of heavy rainfall right there across sections of the eastern sections of Florida, sections of Cuba, sections of Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua as usual. Sections of the ABC Islands might even get in on some amount of rainfall as well. And if we actually take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we do indeed see that the 18th on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday, shows that we're going to be having some above normal temperatures, stretching all the way from the eastern Caribbean to the western Caribbean, with the most above normal temperatures right there across sections of the Gulf of Mexico, and Texas, as well as indicated by all of those reds and darker shades. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast, we can see some amount of slight hazy weather across sections of the eastern Caribbean for tomorrow. And we see that we have some slight hazy weather into the central and western Caribbean, but it's going to be across majority of the eastern Caribbean. So if we see less of the blue shades in the sky tomorrow, it's due in part by the Saharan dust. And we know that these, can trigger the, asthmatic condition, the sinusitis, the allergies in general. So try to take the precautions so that you're not that drastically affected by it. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we do indeed have some amount of high waves, maybe up to 2-meter wave heights or more, to the south of Jamaica as indicated by those purple shades, and that's due to the fact that we're going to be receiving the strongest winds, up to 25 knot winds right there as indicated by the yellows coming in from the east across Jamaica. And we do indeed see that on both the Euro and the GFS smalls, not to mention all of those red shades to the east of the Caribbean associated with tropical storm Bret, that's even causing up to 4 to 5 meter wave heights right there. And that's due to the fact that the winds associated with Bret are going to be stirring up the water. Up to 40, even 50 knot winds are expected from Bret tomorrow. So fishers who are out there, try to take necessary precautions so that you're not that drastically affected. As relates to the accumulated precipitation forecast from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday, we do indeed see all of that tremendous rainfall coming along with Bret as indicated by those purples, and the whites within those purples that even indicate up to maybe 6 to 7 inches of rainfall. So the Bret is not going to be making its way into the eastern Caribbean until the weekend, maybe Friday. But we are seeing that the waters of the main development region are getting nailed from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday. So there's definitely a lot of rainfall in store, and they're going to be receiving more rainfall associated with that tropical wave tonight into tomorrow across sections of the eastern Caribbean, so anywhere from Guadeloupe southward. So Dominica, sections of Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. You can also see some rainfall across sections of the Leeward Islands as well. St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, sections of St. Bart's. You can also see some rainfall across sections of the British and US Virgin Islands. You can also see some rainfall across sections of, Puerto Rico. Not so much in the way of rainfall across sections of Hispaniola, but we do indeed see some rainfall across sections of Cuba. Not so much across Jamaica, just like what we said, just the eastern and the western side. While look at Central America, they are always getting rainfall down there. See some reds that indicate up to an inch of rainfall across sections of Central America, anywhere from Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, sections of Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, even sections of Guyana, French Guiana, and Suriname as usual. And we know that when both models from the Euro and the GFS are showing the same thing, the chance of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.